Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. It is Grand Dungeon Dad / Grey Wolf with Grey Wolf's Gaming Corner. I wanted to do another quick video on Project Stardust tonight. Um, and what I wanted to cover is some of the new ships that I've unlocked in the Star Wars tree already so far. So, first, I wanted to do this bad boy, the Profundity. I mean, it's got to be fun, right? It's got fun in the name. Um, I guess it's a pretty good ship if you like the MC-75. It's very similar to that. If I'm not mistaken, I think our shields and everything are about the same. If I go to the MC-75, 35 HP, 50k shields. If I go back to the Profundity, we're looking at the same stats for that. So same shield stats. Top speed is 10 ZKT. I believe that is also the same, if not a little bit worse. Yep, same speed. So there's not a lot of difference between it and the MC-75. It has some additional utility with the UT-60D U-Wing support craft, which I believe those are like a larger, like small troop ship, essentially. And you can kind of see the launch bay if you go underneath here for that stuff. It's basically the first Mon Calamari cruiser ever, I guess, if you will. If you read the little portion here, essentially this is the ship in Rogue One, the Star Wars movie that Disney did that most people will say didn't suck. That had nothing to do with Jedi. It had everything to do with just the rebellion, and it was basically a new direction for Disney with Star Wars, which is something they desperately needed. And they took a stab at it, and they made it about the characters in Rogue One, and essentially it was about fighting the Empire in the early days, and not about the whole massive force struggle, light versus dark saga that Star Wars is known for. So they kind of just went and did like a side story, which is the best way to, in my opinion, to build onto an existing franchise. And I think they did a good job with that. Well, this ship is based off of that movie. It's a good little premium ship at tier. It doesn't have any problems. I actually like it, and I want to show you guys some gameplay. So let's just jump in here. This battle is almost over, so I don't know how much we'll get. So this is basically like playing the MC-75. I probably could have skipped it, but it's one of the first premiums in this tree, and I think it deserves a little recognition for that. It's not a bad ship. Also, when I did my video on the MC-75, being quite honest, I really didn't know what I was doing. So, to be quite honest, this is going to be after that. If we can survive, holy cow, we got hammered right there. I think we're going to be coming back from the bay here in a second. Yeah. So MC-75, it's not that strong a ship in a tier 2 and 3 game. This game is, if you want to play tier 2 and 3, you might want to jump in. You might want to take this in a tier 1 and 2 game is what I'm saying. It'll be a top dog in that. I jumped into a tier 2 and 3 because, I don't know, I find it more interesting, I guess. But yeah, it's got a pretty reasonable respawn timer. A little bit long, I guess. But, there's not a lot of premium options in the Star Wars tree. If there's one thing they could do, they could add more premium options that don't have a requirement to get into. And even this one has the requirement of having experience on the MC-75. That being the case, or having the MC-75, I think. But that being the case, Um, it's not hard to grind ships in this tree. They're pretty forgiving. We'll try to do a mixed booster here and not get completely obliterated when we first jump in. But I mean, for the tier, for tier 2, this is not a bad little ship. You've got multiple squadrons. You got multiple fighter squadrons. It's pretty powerful for the size of it, and it's got a pretty good weapon complement. It's nothing to write home about. It's not that crazy, but it's got missiles, or it's got proton torpedoes now. I think that did change with the update, and proton torpedoes are awesome. In my opinion, they're much better than they're higher damage than concussion missiles. I think they travel a little bit faster. They're just good. Now, if I attack hostile, probably get that guy off the map. Okay, we're gonna hit this guy. But I mean, my missiles are already cooled down. If you play smart with this ship, you can do pretty good damage. And you really want to use the fighters if you can, because the fighters in this, with this ship, are a huge component of its firepower. If you're not using your fighter craft, you're probably playing it wrong. I'm just going to be honest. It's got a couple ion cannons. It's got, it's a pretty good little mix of lasers and stuff. But the fighters are a big part of how it does damage. And my fighters are getting shredded right now. And we're gonna escort self with the other ones because I'm thinking they're probably gonna send some back my way. Switch over to this guy. He's easier to hit. You put out some decent firepower for. I mean, this ship, if it's not harassed, this ship accumulates damage pretty well. Definitely for the size of it. It is not a large ship, and if it gets focused, it gets killed relatively quickly. But as long as it's not being focused. Put my weapons on point defense. Start stacking those lasers up. Go get them. She'll take, with the shields fully up, she'll take a relatively good amount of damage as well. So I had a booster on there, and I was able to stay in the fight, not get attacked by a lot of stuff. I put up 38k XP relatively quickly in this little ship. So, it's not bad. You got to stay out of the limelight. You do not want to be the focus of anyone. You want to just stay in the back, especially in a 2 and 3, and just throw your proton torpedoes when they're up. Throw your fighters in if you can. If you have a Star Wars heavy game, probably hold your fighters back, at least a couple of squadrons, so that you can defend yourself if they throw a bunch of TIE fighters at you. So, I mean, it's a good little ship, though, for XP grinding. I have no complaints. I think this thing, for tier for tier, and the MC-75, both tier for tier, are really good little ships, and they do a significant amount of work. They're a workhorse for tier 2. That's my feeling, and I've played a couple of trees. I played the Halo tree, the Expanse tree, and this tree. And I get a lot out of these little ships. And maybe it's just they fit my play style. I mean, we'll jump into another one real quick, but I really like this little ship. So I'm going to jump in one more time with this, and then I'll switch over to one of the other ships I want to cover. Now, I don't know a ton about the advantages of the U-Wing versus the other craft. If you guys know more about that thing, you know, how effective it is, all that stuff, let me know. Because I'm not really sure. I'm going to put my lasers on point defense because I think this guy's going to start unloading on me here pretty soon. And then fighters, I'm going to guard myself because we have a bunch of Imperial Star Destroyers, and they have a lot of TIE fighters. So I'm expecting to get engaged by fighters at some point. Although they'll probably focus on some of the bigger targets, like this ISD over top of me here. Alright, let's see what we can see here. This guy's in our range. Let's throw some missiles out there. Okay, now that I'm moving, I'm going to show up a little bit more. Let's see how long I can stay alive here. Okay, let's switch over. You know what? We're going to throw our fighters in. We're going to throw our fighters in there on this expand ship. Get in there, guys. Get in there. Torps. Torps seem to do better at getting through point defense. Big old beam behind us. Big old beamer. The effects in this game are just really cool. Alright, we're gonna jump down here, attack this guy. We are way too far in, and we are gonna get taken out, but hoping we can get some more fire in. You know what? We're gonna switch targets. Attack this guy at launch. Attack this guy. Come on, torpedo. Oh, they're not up yet. All good. He's dead. Okay. Switch back over. Try to stay behind the wrecked metal here a little bit. Cover our shields. Because once you lose shields in this thing, it will go down. You know what? We'll start plastering this Moncal. Okay. Keep me away. Keep me safe from the TIE fighters. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go down here. But I mean, it's just cool. Look at all the fire going back and forth between me and this Moncal. I'm not doing much damage because this thing's shields are hard to crack, but I'm helping crack his shields, if nothing else. So, you know, again, 39,000 EXP. Just because I managed to stay alive for a little bit. It's a good little ship. I mean, I've got 100,000 EXP on this thing that I can switch to something else. So, I really like the ship. I have no complaints. I'm definitely going to use it to help me grind through the lower tiers. It's a very capable little cruiser. So let's see. Let's jump into something else. Let's do... we did the Victory before. Let's do the Venerator. We'll start with the Venerator. Let's run this a couple of times. This is a pretty good ship. Let's see. Yep, one spawning point. I love the engine arrangement on this thing. It just looks cool. She's got a few fighters as well. Not quite as big of a compliment, I don't think, as the... Or at least not as many squadrons. Maybe a bigger complement of fighters, but not as big as squadrons. She's got a pretty good weapons loadout, though. Oh, I love the sound of those Imperial lasers. Turbo lasers just... just going out there. Ion cannons. It just sounds so cool. And we got some missiles on here, too. Not a huge missile complement, but I think it's got four torpedoes. Clicking like a madman, but I can just hold it down. But yeah, I like this ship. It does alright. Puts out some fire. No reason for us to move right now. Alright, let's switch to this guy up here. We'll send our fighters in. Missiles. Let's move. Yeah, she puts out a reasonable amount of fire. I'm kind of a big fan of this ship as well. It's one of the bigger imp ships I've played with so far. There's a lot more. And this isn't technically an imp ship. It's you know, Clone Wars, but it's a pretty good ship. Let's launch the rest of our fighters. Guard self in case we start getting hit with fighters. Look at that firepower going out, though, guys. 4 ion cannons, I think. I mean, just nice ship for the tier. Drops it like it's hot. Yeah, we're gonna die right here. We got no shields. See if we can't get some fire in on this guy first. Well, we got his shields down, guys, before we died. We got his shields down. But as you can see, the Venator does good damage. It pumps out some great damage, and it's got a really good weapons complement. You got 4 TIE fighter squadrons. You got Republic large turbo lasers. Imperial small cannons. It's got some ARC 170 fighters on there. Republic laser cannons. Imperial medium turbo lasers. It's got V-wings. And it's got Imperial defense turbo lasers. And 4 proton torpedoes. So this thing is just bristling with firepower. It's got a pretty good fighter escort. For the tier, it's a pretty good little ship for tier 2. So I like it. I'm just working through this tree right now, trying to get into some of the more Imperial ships, but we're slowly working our way. So the plan right now is to work my way through the Moncal cruisers, through the Republic ships, or I'm sorry, the Rebellion ships, and then some of the New Republic ships. And then eventually, once I'm done with this tree for the most part, or kind of in parallel too, I'm going to run some of these Imperial ships as well. It just depends on the XP grind. I'm going to go up efficiently, however that looks. And probably do the Imperial and Rebel fleets first. And then I'll work on Trade Federation and the Old Republic Clone Wars stuff that's down here. So that's the plan right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's all I got for this one. And I will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.